It's been an amazing journey, and it is an honor to be able to hold space for our community to talk about money. No shame, no guilt, no shade required. Traveling is very expensive during the holiday season. And so one of the ways that I tackle that is by having a savings account that is dedicated to travel. I contribute to that account every month. I have a big pot of money that then I can book tickets with. I don't have to worry about taking like the red-eye flight or, the flight that's on Christmas Day, because nobody wants to be dealing with that. Figure out what you want to save for and put a number on those buckets and start filling those buckets, because once they're filled, then you can work on other stuff.
We don't want to start off the year, especially in January, when it was like, why did I spend all this money? I always tell people, just plan a few months and a half. If you can a year in advance, even better.
That money is for this purpose and this money is for that purpose. And I do have a holiday spending account. Let's talk about how we can build our budgets in a way that don't feel like diet culture, deprivation, and restriction.
Break it down. What is it that you want to do in the next year? What are you going to do in the next month? So when you start picking it smaller and smaller and smaller, I feel like you can hold yourself a lot more accountable. At the end of the day, you're like, maybe those $10 that I would have spent on going out to eat lunch somewhere, I'm going to make something at home, right? And so that's a small win. And sometimes that's all we need is a small win. We love our families, but we know it can get kind of crazy. How did you manage to handle that this past, almost 2 years now?
I actually have a separate emergency fund that is earmarked for my family. I think it's important for you to put boundaries around what that support looks like. Who are you willing to help? Under what circumstances? And what cash amount can you actually afford, right? Before we can extend an offer of help to anyone, whether that's friends, families, loved ones, you got to make sure your oxygen mask is on first, okay? If you don't have anything to spare, that's okay. Of course, we can feel guilty if we're not in a position to be able to do that right now, but just know that's not going to last forever. Knowing the kind of support that you can extend up front, you can start putting that plan in place so that eventually in the future, you will be able to extend that help.
Have an accountability group. So we talk about having your tribe. We have, who are your people that are going to help you along the way. It doesn't mean that they're going to give you money necessarily, but they're going to check in on you and say, hey, it's been a month. Have you saved up that $1,000 that you were planning to do? Motivation, it's an everyday thing. Having that accountability group can go a long way.
Rewarding yourself as you achieve these things too, right? Because it doesn't have to be that you're always grinding, you're always budgeting, you're always counting every single dollar. Like, you can go to Starbucks, okay? That's how we form a healthy relationship with it and avoid the whole toxic narrative of just you shouldn't go out to restaurants until you're debt free. We don't need to live those types of lives, because that's no way to stay motivated. If you're a first generation wealth builder, you don't necessarily have a big network of people that you can just ask money questions to. And so it's important that at some point, maybe you're going to need to rely on a financial professional like a financial advisor. You want to make sure that they're operating in your best interest. So the way to do that is to verify whether or not your financial advisor is what's called a fiduciary, which means that they are legally obligated to always act in your best interest in order for you to achieve your specific goals. Finding a Latina Cfp, that was important to me, because there's just unique things that I have to plan for as a Latina that somebody who is from the community would understand.
It's kind of like you're dating someone. So I always tell people, don't feel like you are stuck with that person. It's okay to shop around for the right financial advisor, for the right CPA. And if you find someone that's great for you, chances are you're going to be there for a long time. Is there such thing of a good and bad debt? And if so, how is it that we can work it to our benefits? Yes, there is a difference between good and bad debt. Granted, it's all debt, which you don't want. So bad credit is if you have credit card debt, right? But good credit can be that maybe you have a loan on a student loan or you have a mortgage. Those are considered good debts. And a lender, who is the person that lends you the money, will say, oh, Natalie's been paying off her student loans on time every month. She's a good lendee, and that's considered good debt, as opposed to be like, ooh, Natalie maxed out her card again and is late on her payments.
As a business owner, I have access to lower interest rate loans than the general public would have. So it makes sense for me, instead of potentially emptying out my business checking account, to go take a loan that's at 1-2% interest, make the investments in my business that are going to then let me add another couple $100,000 of revenue into my business, right? But if you're taking out loans because you're buying things that you can't afford, that's a big problem. I think you need to understand like where your money mindset is formed. Typically, it is formed by your community. If you saw money as a very stressful thing in your home, you might be scared of it. It might cause anxiety. That should be your invitation to know that I need to learn more about this. Read books, listen to podcasts, find social media people, go on Google. However it is that you like to learn, that's how you can start to reshape your money mindset. Being good with money is a lot about being confident with your decision-making skills around it, and building that confidence is really an exercise in educating yourself. Financial literacy is not a one and done thing. As you achieve things with money, you will reach new levels. And now it's like wealth creation, wealth generation. You're gonna have to start educating yourself more on next level investing, right? This is when you might want to bring in a professional, a CFP, a CPA, somebody who can help you create that long-term plan. I'm not just thinking about right now. I'm thinking about Janice 10 years from now. I'm thinking about retired Janice. I'm thinking about how can I set myself up now at the age of 36 to be able to take care of my parents when they're retired. So that level of perspective can require multiple eyes. So as you grow in your journey, forgive yourself for your mistakes, learn the lesson, and do better next time.
My grandma used to say this all the time, as well as my mom, is where our ancestors' wildest dreams come true. And for me, that is such a strong message, especially as Latinos, as Latinx, Hispanic, however you identify. We are in a place of opportunity. Just being in this incredible workshop that's available to us that wasn't available to our ancestors. Maybe we're not at the place that we wish we wanted to be or we thought we would be. We're better off than most, and especially today. And also on top of that, we know that we're working towards a better future, whether it's for ourselves, our family, our children, whatever it might be. So just kind of knowing that everything is temporary. If you find yourself in a lot of debt, or maybe you recently lost your job or a loss of income, it's going to be okay. You have some tools already today. And thank you to our host for doing this. If it wasn't for LULAC, Walmart being able to provide this for us, how else can we move on into making better decisions?
You can be that spark, right? You can be that spark that starts to change things amongst your community. So if you're the first one that's learning about money, don't keep it to yourself. That's selfish, y'all. Talk about it. Share what you are learning with your friends and your family, because you might be that spark that changes things for your family and for your friends for generations to come.